my cup noodles without burning my mouth and just thinking about Harambe.
What's up, PK family? My name is Nonstop Parkour, and today I got a tutorial for you on the palm flip as requested. So, let's get to it. Okay, so as always, the first step is, come on, let me hear it, the run-up, obviously. Now, for this move in particular, you don't need that much momentum. So, probably the main point to take away from here is not to sprint at the wall, which I shouldn't need to tell you, but if you sprint at the wall, obviously, that'll be more forward momentum, and as you do the flip, you might rotate into the wall, which you don't want to do. So, you can either do what I do, which is just a small jog into it. So, there, like small skip into it, or you can do just even a walk into it, which is, some people, it's more comfortable for them. So, here, just walk, walk, walk. Okay. So the next step after a run-up, the takeoff. As always, I encourage you to learn the gather step instead of punching, because it'll be easier on your knees when you do it on concrete, which you will do, I promise you, after watching this tutorial, obviously. So, you're gonna skip or walk into it, into the takeoff, and the position compared to the wall, you should be about, I would say, arm's length, but you should be able to palm it, technically, okay? So, the reason you don't want to be too far away, so like from right here, is because that forces you to jump into the wall, making you rotate lower, and that will force your rotation as you go into the wall to rotate into the wall. Now, most of the time, this doesn't mean that you'll hit your head if you take off too far away, but it's just more likely. Now, the reason you don't want to take off like really close to the wall is because obviously when you go for the tuck, no room for your knee or your foot. Now, what you're going to do with your arms is essentially, if you know the term, an advanced front flip takeoff. So you bring your arms back, you got to do the gather step, and you're going to swing them up and around. But if you don't know that term, there's a more widely concept called a rebound in basketball. So, as if you're trying to go and get the ball, you're going to do the gather step, bring both arms this way, and then swing. But for the palm flip, you're only going to swing to here, okay? You're not going to swing all the way up here. So as you take off, now we're going to talk about the hand placement. Now, I want you to remember not to rotate too quickly, okay? So I want you to get at least off the ground, 2 or 3 inches is even okay, and I want you to place your hands at about head height, because you're still going upward. So by the time you stop going up because of gravity, you're going to be at about shoulder height. So here, here. Right when you see that your hands, your palms are at shoulder height, you're going to do that slight push, which is going to give you the rotation. So just get a feeling for here. Okay? Now the way that you push off. I'm going to explain this again. Obviously, you don't want to have your elbows all the way here, all this bent, because of the same reason for the takeoff. You can still get a bunch of energy off of it, but there's no room for your legs, okay? But you don't want your arms to be completely straight, because obviously you can't get any push. So I would have them just slightly bent, and then just here, bang. So just try that a couple times to get the feeling for it. Head height, jump up. As soon as your palms are at shoulder height, then you're gonna just do that slight push. Now, assuming you commit, what you're gonna do is you're gonna do that slight push. Now that will force your chest into the rotation, And as soon as you do the push, you're gonna bring your knees to your chest, which will get your hips over and around your chest. So this is gonna be the motion in slow motion. The motion in slow motion. So here, okay? And from the tucking position onward, it should feel like just a regular backflip to you. So that means you land the same as the backflip. So now that we got the hard part, the technique out of the way, let's start with the second step, the fear and how to get over the fear of the palm flip. So if you've at least tried to go for palm flips, you should kind of have an idea of what I'm about to say here. So what most people, and I used to be scared of when first learning palm flips was hitting my head against the wall as I'm doing the backflip. One way to correct this move, now I'll admit I got this from Ronnie Chalvis's tutorial on the palm flip, which I do encourage you to check out his tutorial after you check out mine, obviously, or finish watching mine since you're already watching it, is do backflips as close to the wall as possible, because that's basically what a palm flip is, a backflip really close to the wall, except you're kind of using the wall. So the way I started was having about fingertip distance away from the wall, and then just doing backflips. So, and then just keep on doing that until you feel comfortable, okay, that you won't hit your head. So here. So the third and final step of my tutorial on the palm flip is common things that people do wrong and how to correct that. Now obviously keep in mind I can't list every single possible thing you could or could not be doing wrong in first learning. So this is just the most common things. The first one is taking off rotating too early for the backflip. So before they take off, like before they even leave the ground, their hands are already on it and they already take off, which isn't necessarily a majorly bad thing. It's just that you won't have as much height as if you just set higher. The second most common thing people do wrong, and I did mention this earlier in the tutorial, is taking off too far away from the wall, which will inevitably make you drift closer to the wall, rotating, because you'll have forward momentum instead of just 100% upward momentum, and you'll have a lower and slower rotation. So just focus on, remember what I said about fingertip length. The third and final most common thing that people do wrong is the way they use their arms to get the rotation. Now, many people I've seen try to take off like this, which is possible, and use their arms like this. They try to pull the wall down, which you actually do need to do for I don't know what to call them, I'm gonna call them ledge palm flips, where you're holding onto the ledge, you duck down, you pull up, and then you push out. But we're not doing ledge palm flips, we're doing regular ones. Basically the difference is pulling like this, gonna slow down your rotation, whereas going here, as I explained earlier, and just doing that quick snap will give you a much faster and snappier rotation. And there you go, PK family. My tutorial as requested by you on the palm flip. I really hope this helped you. If it did, give it a whole fat like and thumbs up. And if you're not already, subscribe so you can see more awesome parkour videos and tutorials. And I hope to see you in the next one. Blah. Oh.
Rest in peace, Harambe, man.
So PK family, my name is Non-Stop Parkour, and today we got a fine specimen right here. It's called a cicada, and it only grows in the most crazy parts of the Cincinnati area.